Langdale Wastewater Treatment Works is connected to a pump station at the bottom of the hill at Elterwater. That passes forward currently 13 litres a second. In order to treat more flow and therefore stop those spills from happening, we're going to try and treat 21 litres a second at this point, which is obviously an extra half as much again. But that means we need to do some work here in order to be able to have that capacity and treat that flow, to reduce the retention time at Elterwater before any spill would occur. Space on this site is pretty limited with where it is. It's surrounded by ancient woodland, which limits its capacity to expand, and it's part of the national park.
So we needed to look for something that would effectively intensify the process, mean that we can get more out of the existing assets that we've got.
So behind us we've got an oxidation ditch, which is essentially a large circulating pool of bacteria that self-consumes. So as the sewage comes in, more sewage is then re-added, and the bacteria we just regen constantly. By adding this product that we've got here, which is kind of like a fine sawdust brick, it allows the bacteria to build up onto the small flakes of sawdust, and that allows you to have more bacteria in the ditch than you otherwise would with what's the existing process.
It's very much like you would see the old-fashioned filters, where you have the little stones, and what happens is that the bugs grow on the stones and you get this biological treatment because the bugs are effectively eating the nasties in the sewage. This is doing the same thing. The reason it's called mobile organic biofilm is because actually all those little bugs are attached to the little bits of the media. So all those briquettes we've been thrown in end up with sort of 1 millimetre particles, and they all grow that sort of stuff. So that improves the whole quality of the water that we discharge back to the environment. So we're trying to do that, but we're trying to do that while maximising the flow that comes through. The more water that gets treated to a much higher standard and then returned to the environment in the best condition that we possibly can. So it's maximising that, but while stopping us having to build new assets. So obviously that saves carbon, that saves energy, that saves money for the customer, because we don't actually have to build new assets. So we need to try more and more innovative processes like this to try and keep those benefits growing.
We've just had £200 million worth of funding released for the Windermere catchment to build a stronger, greener and healthier Cumbria. A lot of this investment will involve increasing treatment capacity or building larger retention tanks to make sure that the 6 storm overflows that are around Windermere are reduced. The number of spills there are reduced to 10 spills or fewer per year. Before I joined UU 5 years ago, I was in the army, and when I left, obviously I was looking for another job, but what I didn't want to do is have a job that didn't matter. What I wanted was something that I felt like made a difference, and I certainly feel like in UU, particularly in the next 5 years with the amount of investment that we're doing, we will be making that difference.